So if, as I've been talking, you've been listening and you are identifying, okay, this could be me. Okay, I think I'm overprotective. I think I'm avoidant. I think I'm unable to show emotional expressions, warmth, love, the expression of it. I think this is me. I think I'm mirroring how my parents, raised me onto my children. I think I'm bringing in past traumas that I did not heal from. One of the steps to heal is to acknowledge the trauma. A major trauma I have seen in parenting from my years of working with parents is problems with the relationship itself. The man having issues with the wife having issues with the husband. Maybe it has led to divorce, maybe it has led to separation, maybe it has led to just living under the same roof but acting like strangers, or traumas from the past, like sexual abuse, people who had neglectful or uninvolved parents. So it is what I know. Some parents will say that's how my father raised me and I did not die. But how your father raised you is not working for this generation. Okay, so you must recognize these past wounds, and then that is the first step to your healing. Because if you begin to avoid, you begin to deny, you begin to minimize their impact, you carry on the trauma, and then it's possible you pass it on to your children, and then your children pass it on to their children, and then it just keeps going because somebody refused to heal. So we must not avoid it. We must face it. If it is a past sexual abuse, it is a past abuse from parents. Many people come from dysfunctional homes. I worked with a young lady who had repeated cycle of being sexually abused by her own father. So if such a lady gets into marriage and she has a daughter, imagine how she's going to be dealing with the issues of the daughter's relationship with her husband. Because you're always going to think, what happened to me before can happen to my children. I always give the example of when there was a year I worked with a 6-year-old girl who was sexually abused by 3 adult males. And then they brought the young girl to my office and I had to, go into therapy with the girl, in treatment and all that. That season of my life, my brain was messed up because I realized that then I had a young girl that would come to the house in the morning and leave in the evening when I leave because I had a little baby. So she comes take care of the baby. My mom was at home with her though, but she was the main person who does all the work and everything. I realized that when I come home, this same girl helped me raise my first son. I didn't have a problem. But as soon as I heard the story of sexual abuse on a 6-year-old, I will come home, I'll check my daughter, I'll press her body. I didn't know I was traumatized until I had the conversation with one of my bosses who then said, come, this is an offshoot of the therapy session you are having with this young girl. Better debrief yourself fast and move on from it because it's going to affect your relationship with this young girl you have in your house who have done nothing to you, but I became very, very suspicious. So you can find out that some parents, male, female, father, mother, who have had such traumatic experiences begin to have issues with the other partner because of how they are raising the child, not knowing that it is their trauma that is playing out here. I've had many parents say, the father will say, when I talk to this child, the mother flares up as if the child is not my child too. When I want to correct my child, the father flares up as if that child is not my child too. Because you are coming from a place that your wife or your husband doesn't understand. It could be trauma. So one thing to do is acknowledge it. Then you must seek professional help. I cannot stop saying this. We must begin to normalize therapy. We must normalize counseling. Because this is one tool that can help to resolve trauma. It's one tool that can teach you healthy coping mechanism, therapy. So even though in Africa, in Nigeria, we're still trying to get into that, because our general mindset about therapy is, especially for those of us who are therapists inside a mental health institution, general idea is that, you have to have a mental health condition for you to see a therapist. No, anybody can see a therapist. Anybody dealing with life issues. Because research has shown that most of the time, our perspective of situations can only be from one angle. But the therapist is trained to help you see that same situation from 5, 6, 10, 8 different other angles. Because we can be stuck in our own way of thinking, our own way of reasoning. And then you get this other person who is emotionally uninvolved, assessing and analyzing the same situation for you. And then you need to realize, okay, it's not so bad. Okay, I think it's just the way I processed and perceived the whole situation that is causing me problem. So we must normalize seeking therapy. Then you must practice self-compassion. You must understand that your struggles are valid and healings take time. Be kind to yourself. Okay. Sometimes we expect too much of especially women. I know there are men on this call, but especially women. We put so much on ourselves. We want to be everything at the same time. Mother, wife, sister, daughter. We are everything to everybody, but you do not give yourself rest. You don't give yourself your own me time. So when you begin to find out that you are struggling personally, your struggle is valid. Accept it. And then be kind to yourself. And then focus on how do I heal from whatever it is that is affecting me now. In short, what is it that is affecting me now? If this was an individual therapist session, I would naturally go into, let us begin to analyze and recognize what are the areas of my life that I think I've brought from past that are affecting me now. That's an assignment you can actually do for self-awareness, self-evaluation. What is it I have brought that is affecting how I view myself and how I am parenting my kids now? Then you must also develop emotional awareness. Identify how your feelings affect your parenting decisions and learn to manage them effectively. Last 2 weeks in my son's school, he came home and told me that his class teacher was beaten up by a parent. Both the man and the woman came to school to beat up the teacher. And I asked what happened. But the way my son was describing the beating, you can tell that this was traumatic for even my child. They were choking the woman, slapping the woman, shoving her into the wall and everything. And I'm like, what happened? He said the boy was flogged because he did not sweep the class. And I'm like, is that a reason for parents to come to school and fight? But I'm telling you, even though to me that doesn't make sense, if you sit with these parents, they have valid reasons and it will make sense to them. Okay, it will make sense to them. And they may not be unaware that this response could be coming from a past experience. Maybe the father was beaten in class and his teeth was pulled off. Maybe the mother had a bad experience in school. And then once they are triggered, and it happens with us too, once we are triggered, we find ourselves reacting. Instead of pausing to assess, analyze the situation before responding, we react. So you must develop emotional awareness, and then so that can help you ask yourself when something happens, what is the best course of action for this situation? Another step you can take is to create a support system. This is easy for women. It's very difficult for men. I've discovered that men have a way of sitting around. Maybe there's a football match. They sit around. They just gist about the football. They gist about the economy. Men never talk about their personal struggles with fellow men. That is where women have strength. Once you see 3, 4, 5 women sitting together, oh, my husband this, my brother this, my in-law this, we are just gisting and talking, and people are giving you advice, both the good, the bad, and the ugly anyway. But just talking, even research has shown that just talking about your personal struggles alone can, give you some level of comfort, some respite. But men don't talk. Men can be together. All the gist is about every other thing but personal issues, because men don't want to be seen as weak. They don't want to be perceived as struggling. They don't want to be perceived as emotionally down. So they mask it. They just move on. Women can cry, talk about what they are going through, even when it is the woman that is wrong about the issue. They will still talk about it like, oh, this man is stressing us, this person is stressing us. Men don't talk. And then when you don't create emotional support, somebody was in a meeting yesterday and somebody was re-emphasizing why men die earlier than women. And I was like, he kept talking about it, all the kinds of diseases that men have, and you don't even know they have it until it is too late because they don't talk. The women would likely, by the By the time that women are feeling not so good, everybody around them know already that, in short, just a woman's WhatsApp status will tell you that this woman is going through. You know, if you're a lady here, you know, there's some WhatsApp status you will see from your female friends. You will know, you will call them, what did they happen now? What has this man or this person done to you again? But you don't see that with men. Men don't vent. So one of the steps to healing is to create a support system. Talk to friends, talk to mentors, have support group. I have a support group of women that we meet together once every month, and it started since last year, and it has been so impactful for me. Like, that's looking forward to once a month time with fellow women who understand where I'm coming from. I can vent, I can laugh, I can cry, I can eat, I can just be myself, unwind, and then for the next 1 month I am cool, looking forward to the next meeting. So I think men should begin to have such systems, because it actually does help, so that you're able to pick out problems before they become too late. You must also begin to learn to establish healthy boundaries. You must learn to separate your past experience from your child's present need. Okay, how my mother did it, how my father did it, it doesn't mean that is how your child needs it to be done 2025. So you must learn to separate your past experience from your child's present need. And then you must model healthy coping mechanisms. One thing I know is, as parents, you cannot give what you don't have. So whatever it is that you want your child to learn to have, you must have it in abundance. If you want your child to have kindness, you must be kind. If you want your child to be disciplined financially, you must be disciplined financially. If you want your child to put down their phone, you must also have those moments where you put down your phone. Let your child see you. You must model what you want your child to be. If you want your child to be able to problem solve, you must model problem solving. If you want your child to avoid dealing with situations, avoid confrontation, you will also teach them that. You will also model avoiding confrontation, which is the worst thing anybody can do for a child, because you shove it. Something happens in the house, you shove it. You don't address it, you don't talk about it. Oh, some women will say, if I bring it up, my husband will just flare up. In short, the problem I'm trying to solve will become doubled. I understand. Some men say the same thing about their wives too. If I bring up this issue, the problem I'm trying to solve doubles, so we just swallow it. Swallowing it, shoving it under the carpet is not a solution. It doesn't make it go away. So you realize 3 years, you are bitter because there were some things that happened that you did not address. You are bitter. So I tell men or women most times, whether the man is going to listen or not, find a good time. You just speak your truth. It doesn't tell him, I'm not expecting a response from you. I'm not asking you to I'm not saying this to blame you. I just want to free myself. So tell it to them. Because how you resolve problems is how your kids will also begin to resolve problems. I grew from a home of, shouting. I realized that I am also a shouter. I have to start working on that, where, if I am talking to you about what you have done to me, my voice has to be very, very loud, because I feel like you're not hearing me. Until one day I read somewhere that when in where there is love, people whisper, not because they don't want others to hear them, but because you are so emotionally connected in your heart that you hear yourself speak even when you're not speaking. But when there is strife, no more love, there is bitterness, people shout because there is a wall. Your hearts are no longer connected, so it looks like a wall. So when you are shouting at your husband, shouting at your wife, it looks like what you are saying is hitting a brick wall and bouncing back to you, because the connection is no longer there. So you must unlearn those patterns. What is the coping mechanism you are using? Some people, coping mechanism is just cry, rant, rake, move on. But the problem is not solved. Some people's coping mechanism is, all or nothing. If I can't get it all, I don't want anything. There is no middle ground. You are teaching your kids that you don't have a middle ground. If I tell my husband, I tell my wife, I want a white cup, and he brings a cream colored cup, he's going to return it. All or nothing. Your kids are watching. they also become rigid like that, all or nothing. You cannot give what you don't have. So whatever you want to give your kids, you must model it. And then you must also begin to learn to break the circle. Be intentional about your parenting. And that's the beautiful thing with everybody that has signed up for this class. People who are intentional about, I need to do things differently. I need to be better. I need to parent differently from how my parents parented me. Focusing on love, understanding, and consistency. I used to have this constant battle with my husband those days. Then when I started reading a lot about resilient parenting, he would say, oh, gentle parenting, oh, soft parenting, you are spoiling kids. And I had to keep explaining to him that I understand there is a popular theory out there, gentle parenting, where don't shout, don't yell, don't beat, just let them do what they want to do. No, that's not what this is about. This is not about letting them do whatever they want to do. This is about having a standby coach that points you in the right direction. You as the coach pointing your child in the right direction. But when you are in the wrong direction, how do you point your kids to the right direction?